Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Samso. I've got Mead back for an update. You had a successful SPP.
Yeah, very successful. Thanks, Noel.
You raised 2.7 million?
Yeah, 2.7 million before costs, and strong uptake by shareholders. Had circa about 309 shareholders participate, which is a good result.
Yeah, I wanted to get you back to have a quick chat because with an update on what you've done. I think there's a few things that we spoke about the last time which we didn't touch on, which we missed. I think the story is quite big, in my opinion. I like the fact that what you guys are doing, the fact that you've done the SPP, you've got a bit of cash under your belt, but more so the fact that the market, I feel, over the last 2 weeks. It's changed a lot. Maybe it's always sort of brewing in the background, but I think I'm seeing small players raising good money. This morning I looked at, I think Alt Resources is doing a raising, and it sounds like they're going to be oversubscribed. I think there was another one that picked up the Menzies project, and they raised money. And it sounds like the market's really buoyant.
Yeah.
We sort of mentioned that when you guys got your South Telfer project. That's how do you feel? Do you see that?
Absolutely. I see that gold and copper are two very strong commodities to be in. Certainly with interest rates being a lot lower and going to be lower for a long time. I think people feeds into people start looking at the junior sector for potential investments and growth of those companies through exploration.
Yeah, an associate of mine mentioned yesterday that there's this influx of millennials that poor millennials, they get bashed all the time. They've come from trading in crypto and then they come out of that, and that's quite encouraging in some ways. And let's hope it's true, because the small end of the market, the specky end, needs a lot of this spec money or coming in, which I think with what you guys have got there. When you put out your announcement on the last one, what I'd like to touch, but we never touched, was your Kiwikara project, which was held by Ashburton Metals. Obviously, I did my Samso thing and I did research into it. The reason being, because I know that Arunta complex quite well. Previously, I had looked at projects there. Right. So I did some searching, I remember all that, and at that time, ABM Resources had a big holding there. I was chasing tungsten. There was tungsten, tantalum, tin in that area there, and then I found out that there was quite rich in copper, or prospects for copper, which then IGO and all that, those guys came in. There's a bit of a sort of iron sulfide, iron oxide, IOCG kind of flavour to it. And then Encounter Resource had a big project on the West Arunta side, which is the WA side of it.
Yep.
And I followed the announcements, and I worked out that you guys are right close to that, and that's why I think it's something that you guys never really put on. And I understand it's a chalk table issue.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the area that I sort of see in a very speculative, small cap getting a lot of attention market. Could be a nice little play for you guys.
No, absolutely. And where we're at the moment with Kiwikara is rebuilding a JORC line database. Therefore, we can go back through and validate all the drill intercepts that have been previously reported. But there are, from some of the stuff that Ashburton released, back to 2012, there are intercepts like up to 245 metres at 0.22% copper. And so you'd argue there's a lot of smoke in the area, a lot of well mineralised. Just got to be the location, and a lot of the focus. There are some big companies in the area now there with IGO, and they're all looking for IOCG. So we're going through at the moment and pulling all that together, and we'll be making a release on that once we've consolidated, compiled, and got an intern on Kiwikara.
Yeah, I was going to write up an insight about it, and I sort of got distracted. But I in my search, I found out the Encounter had done a JV with Newcrest, or Newcrest, I'm pretty sure it was. And Newcrest was going to pump in large sum of money, I don't know, 20, 30 million in the JV. Whether it happens or not, it's another story. But that was what was announced, and I thought, I get the sense that the market has finally sort of woken up to a lot of these things. I've been very bullish. I've written about the Patterson range previously, and I reckon that could be the flavour of the month, or flavour of the next 6 months, or potentially 12 months. That's where my optimism lies. I know this, what you guys got there, I mean, that South Telfer project there is what we didn't touch on was the copper side of South Telfer. We were all focused on the gold, but there was some decent intercept in your release too, I remember.
Yeah, look, I mean, there are some very good copper intercepts and very good gold. I think that there's been, in a very short period of time since, Rio discovered Winu, then you've got Havron, which has got good copper and gold as well. There's strong potential for a lot more going on, and one of the things that we've been looking at just over the last couple of weeks as well, we found that there have been several seismic lines done, one straight through Havron and our Romulan and targets immediately to the east. I'll be putting all that information once I've checked it and validated it all, but we'll be putting that into a Patterson's range specific investor deck that we'll be putting out in the next couple of weeks. But also on that, like Geoscience Australia with GSWA have recently announced, or last month, put out another seismic line. They've completed all the way from Port Hedland down to Marble Bar, down the Ripon Hills Road, and across Telfer, and then down parallel to our Rincon acquisitions.
Okay.
So that's going to be, that'll be quite interesting. So I'm compiling that. I mean, it's publicly available data, but it's perfect for timing when we're looking for large systems where we know we've got a lot of fluid movement in the basement. That's evidenced with Nifty, where you have a syncline with significant copper being precipitated out. We've obviously got Telfer, Winu, Havron. So there's the targets that we've picked up, which are Hastings and Western. There are for not a lot of exploration. There seems to be all over a period of time there hasn't been a great deal of exploration, but they're certainly shaping up that you're an elephant country, or that you're in a well mineralised and well endowed area.
I think you can sense that the market likes that area now, because I'm seeing people announcing, say, we've picked up this ground, it's all in that Patterson area. The whole Winu things now is really taking shape. Great Lane put some really good results. I think there's no doubt that they've got something there, I think so. Yeah. Sure, it's down deep, but like you said, if you've got an elephant down there, you can easily go down that route.
Yeah.
But I've made it really in my past that I like the Patterson area. I reckon there's a lot more to find there, but you need deep pockets. I think that's one of the key there.
Yeah, well, I mean, to a degree, one of the things that certainly out to when you get further out to the east of Havron, depth starts to increase. Yeah. Certainly the same thought process when you get further to the south. But what we've shown at, say, like Western, which is 20 k's southeast of Telfer, we've got drill intercepts there that are at 80 metres. Hastings is essentially mineralisation from surface. So there are a lot of areas where things are quite shallow, and with big companies going into the Patterson's range, the infrastructure is excellent. There's bitumen road to Woody Woody. Got good services with Telfer, with Rio Tinto and Winu, and what they're publicly saying, the infrastructure that will then go in to support, possible, production at Winu is going to, really establish the area with great infrastructure, which makes it a lot easier for the junior sector when you're not isolated. It was a real challenge for the Fraser Range initially because there was no infrastructure out there.
I mean, look, I'm really loving all the attention in Patterson because, in a selfish way, I made it out that Patterson was the place, and now everyone's going there, so I can't be wrong. Or at least I'm in good company when we're all been proven to be idiots. But it's really interesting that the gold price is now 2,100 Aussie, and now I heard yesterday that the RBM may go 1% more, and I really think gold will have a lot more legs to go. Who knows where it will go, but I don't think it's going to go south. So a lot of these kind of things, once the margin goes up, I guess, that's probably why there's so much interest in gold now.
I agree, and I think it's that when people can see that there is going to be a sustained, economic forecast, which was, essentially, printing money and low interest rates, potential for inflation. Everybody thinks that, with all fiat currencies, that gold is a good place to be, and that's, really where you see the gold prices come up. And definitely see that I think it's going to be sustained at these levels for quite some time. I mean, I sort of look back to the the 80s or the early 90s with gold, and really, it's been circa 25 years since we've had a renaissance in the gold sector, with gold being a lot higher. I mean, what plays into that? You can see the reason that Telfer, essentially, or Newcrest relinquished a great deal of tenements up in the area. They used to own everything around Telfer. So, it's now that the price is a lot higher, and, everything is, you always say that the junior sector is swing producers because, all big deposits are owned by the big boys. But, a company like Artemis, we've been very, very lucky, or, astute in working out what projects we can bring into the company, how we can consolidate areas like what we did in the Karratha area, and how we're going to move those forward.
I think this market, this sentiment is good. I mean, we've all been in that small cap sector. We've all seen. I mean, there was a moment of excitement for 6-9 months, and when the conglomerate thing was happening with you guys and Novo and all that, and that sort of went flat. And I think there's. I can feel like even the brokers I speak to in Sydney who don't deal in this sector a lot, and they're saying, we're seeing a lot more, and even they're commenting that there seemed to be a apparent move of money into the smaller sector, which is good for everyone, I think.
Yeah, no, it definitely helps you move projects forward. I mean, one of the other things, when Artemis says, like, we're focused on copper and gold, we also remember that we've got Wandoo copper deposit, which we drilled last year, and so we've got a resource on that, and we've continued to move that project forward. And when we get to a point where we can make an announcement on that, we will.
Look, I'll be the first to admit. I mean, when you guys did the SPP, I mean, you guys had a bad trot. Although I like the story, but I thought you guys would struggle. And the fact that you got 2.7, which is good, relatively to where your sentiment was. I think that's I was surprised. I mean, a good surprise. I said for you, I'm sure. I think the market, that speaks quite with volumes about where the market is. I think there is a lot of interest, obviously. But I read somewhere that copper's now. There's a resurgence. Everyone's looking for copper in some ways. I mean, there's always this talk about there's a supply deficit coming in nickel, copper, and all the other commodities. From graphs and numbers, they look like that's factual.
Yeah.
But it hasn't really been felt in the market. The market has been saying, hey, we want more of this. So we're like, yes, it's there, but nobody seems to care.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose it's also people have been, sitting on their money. They haven't been investing, and so you don't get vibrancy. And as soon as you start to, people will put a little bit of money into the junior sector, you can then start getting companies going out that have potentially had targets or had exploration programs that they wanted to do, but they didn't have the ability to. And so with a little bit of money, you suddenly start to see, increased news flows. Some of those exploration programs become successful. And I suppose it's that typical story about, success breeds success. It's like people suddenly start finding things, and stock prices go up in the junior sector, and then it starts to attract investors.
I mean, even the IPOs now, I mean, there's a few that people have mentioned to me. They're getting traction, I mean, I haven't really seen that kind of widespread happiness in IPO for a while. Even in AI or tech or something,
Right.
There's a certain optimism I feel in the air. But I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, it's good for everybody, I guess.
Well, I suppose, you could argue, as we said before, millennials are getting the blame again, but, playing cryptocurrency and weed stocks.
Well, I hear from a guy in Canada that some of the wheat stocks, the market's feeling there's a bubble. So if that bursts, then where's that money going to go? Maybe it'll flow back into the resource sector.
Yeah.
And Aussie gold's doing well. If our dollar keeps dropping, our margin keeps going up for the Aussie producers, which is always a good thing. I mean, I know a guy in the Goldfields private show, 3 guys have been stockpiling up mining for about 2 years. They couldn't really get a sizable batch for processing, and he said he reckons in a short time he'll have 10,000 tonnes and could be worth $5 million. So,
Well, impressive.
yeah, I mean, that's always a good thing. Anyway, well, it's good to just get that update I wanted from you, and we'll hopefully, a few months down the road, you guys start drilling and things. And
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I've put a strategy together which, we'll start to reel out. I mean, it's, our job now is to deliver some results, and build on the work that's been done, but to make shareholders happy with the way we're going.
happy shareholders, happy life for you, mate.
Well, yeah, that's definitely the same, that one.
All right, thanks, Ed.
No worries,
Thanks for the
much.
update.
Cheers.
All right.